What is up, enthusiasts? It is Cedar Flags here, and welcome back to another one of my videos. So, one of the main talking points on this channel is Cedar Point, and there is a big reason for that. Looking at this park's beautiful skyline, you could easily see how much there is to unpack in this amusement park. Today, we are going to be looking at the tallest rides in Cedar Point history, both operating and defunct. We are going to be looking at every ride that Cedar Point has ever added over 150, and look at all of the rides taller than that mark. The reason I picked 150 feet for the reference point in the starting point is because I feel like a lot of parks don't really go higher than that. This is Cedar Flags, and today we are going to be counting down the tallest rides in Cedar Point history. The first ride we are going to be looking at is Professor Delbert's Frontier Fling, standing at a max height of 153 feet or 46.7 meters. This was added in 1996 as Ripcord. These are upcharge attractions that lift you up to the top of a tower. And once you're up there, you have the choice to pull a ripcord. And once you do, you swing down at a certain height and feel like you're flying. For our next ride, we are going to be looking at another former Challenge Park attraction. This is Skyscraper, measuring at a top height of 160 feet or 48.8 meters. This is a Gravity Works booster and has a massive 160-foot arm holding people on each side. It spins at a certain speed and acts as a propeller. But unlike its old neighbor, this ride unfortunately never reopened. Now we are going to be looking at our first roller coaster. This is Mean Streak, topping off at a height of 161 feet or 48.8 meters. Now this ride opened in 1991 and was designed by the Din Corporation, and at the time was the tallest wooden coaster on the planet. Other than that, it was very well known for its long duration as well. Unfortunately, as the ride aged, it slowly declined in popularity, and over the decades, less people were waiting in line. The ride finally closed for good in late 2016, and they started a massive remodeling process to the old structure. Let's check back on them later. The next tallest ride at the park is yet another roller coaster. It is Gatekeeper, the 2013 B&M Wing. This sits at a height of 170 feet or 51.8 meters. We have officially reached the 50-meter threshold. It features a very good variety of unique elements and inversions, including but not limited to the amazing 170-foot dive drop, and of course, those iconic keyholes that go right over the front entrance. Going from the front of the park to the middle of the park, we go to Magnum XL 200. The first of the 200-foot plus rides here, we have a height of 205 feet or 62.5 meters. This was added in 1989, and at the time, this was the world's tallest full-circuit coaster. In fact, when this opened in 1989, headlines were all over the place, saying that Cedar Point has the first roller coaster over 200 feet. And to say the least, it inspired many roller coasters after it for its massive height and its abundance of airtime moments. Speaking of airtime, let's talk about Steel Vengeance. Remember that Mean Streak coaster I was talking about? Well, they rebuilt it into what is quite possibly one of the greatest roller coasters on the planet. When this opened, this was the world's first hyper-hybrid coaster, and nowadays is considered one of the most beloved roller coasters by the coaster community. This ride features some incredible elements, including a 90-degree drop, unique inversions, and over 27 seconds of airtime. This ride actually has the very same height as Magnum XL 200 at 205 feet. It is rare for a park to say that they have a ride over 200 feet that is now defunct, but Cedar Point is one of them. At 216.5 feet, or 66 meters, you have Wicked Twister. When this opened up in 2002, it was the world's tallest inverted coaster, and it actually held the record up until 2021. Though it had a simple layout and a low capacity, its very intimidating spikes and beachside setting made it a very special ride. Up next, we have Val Raven. This 223 feet, or 68 meter behemoth truly stands as a great spectacle in the skyline of Cedar Point. It opened up in 2016 as the tallest dive coaster in the world upon opening, and held the record until 2019 when Cedar Fair beat its own record with Yukon Striker. Like other B&M dive coasters, it's all about the drops. For the first time in a while, we go to another flat ride, a Slingshot. Now, this was not their first attempt. The Slingshot currently operating stands at a height of 236 feet or 71.9 meters. If you don't know, slingshots are very common upcharge attractions where riders strap into a capsule and get launched skyward. This is a Funtime model, and most of the new slingshot models are found by Funtime. Though the structural height of the ride is 236 feet, the ride actually goes to a max height mid-ride of 360 feet, making this the tallest operating ride at Cedar Point in the 2023 season, which is kinda weird to think about. But since we are going off a structural height, it only measures at a height of 236. So like I said, that was not the only attempt at a slingshot at Cedar Point. Back in 2001, Cedar Point added Vertigo, opening up in August of 2001 and only operating for a few weeks. The ride was originally going to reopen in 2002, but due to high winds and vortex shedding, a part of the ride actually collapsed in the middle of the winter. The ride went to a max height of 265 feet or 80.8 meters, but very similar to the 2014 edition, the ride rose to a higher height of about 300 feet. We are going to be talking about Power Tower. When this was added in 1998, Cedar Point's skyline was changed forever. And let me say, this ride standing at 314 feet or 91.4 meters is truly an amazing sight to see. And though the structure reaches this height, the 4 towers below actually reach a height of about 240 feet, 2 of them shooting you upward and the other 2 shooting you downward. These SNS combo towers are all over the place, and let me say personally, I'm a big fan. Up next, we look at yet another 300 foot plus flat ride. This is Windseeker, measuring at a top height of 301 feet or 97.1 meters. This Mondale creation is truly a very impressive sight. It acts very similar to a swing ride as you go up to the very top, lifting up and swinging in a 360 degree motion. Now we get to another roller coaster, and this one is a big one. It is Millennium Force. Similar to Magnum XL breaking the 200 foot barrier back in 1989, Millennium Force set another barrier at 300 feet, measuring in a total height of 310 feet or 94.5 meters. Funny enough, out of all the rides at the park, this one might actually pop out the most out of the rest in the skyline. Though it isn't the tallest, its massive first tail is extremely wide and very detailed. This ride features one of the greatest first lifts and drops on any coaster, and massive overbank turns mixed with giant airtime moments. For our next ride, we go to the very front of the park to talk about what once was the Space Spiral. Back in the 1960s, they opened up one of the tallest rides in the world at the time. This 330 foot or 100.6 meter tower was absolutely massive. The Spire was actually the tallest structure in the park from 1965 and 2002, and of course, that's where we get our 330 foot height. But the cabin itself only went up to 285. Also, for a little bit of a comparison, the original Slingshot's max height of 360 feet would be placed here on the list. There's only a few rides that could say that they go over 400 feet in height in the world, and one of them was Top Thrill Dragster. When Top Thrill Dragster opened up in 2003, it rose like a giant over the rest of the park. And even though the ride was quick and short, it was as extreme as you could ever get at this park. 120 mile an hour hydraulic launch, a 400 foot vertical spiral drop, and lap bar only restraints. Unfortunately though, this ride suffered many problems, leading to its closure in 2021. So, what are they going to do with the park's tallest structure? Why not convert it to another roller coaster, Top Thrill 2? And unlike the original, which only had one 420 foot tall tower, Top Thrill 2 is going to have 2 420 foot towers. And I could barely imagine 2 massive 400 foot plus structures in the Cedar Point skyline. Unlike the original, this ride is going to feature a swing launch, which both of these towers will be acting as both of the towers for that launch. As of now, this is the updated skyline as of next year. Now, the reason I put Top Thrill 2 in this 2023 video is because we already know it's coming out, so I might as well talk about it. Anyways, that was my video. Those were all of the rides at Cedar Point that range over 150 feet. Anyways, what did you think about this video? Let me know in the comments below, and let me know what your favorite is out of all of these. Anyways, until next time, this is Cedar Flags, and I'll see you all later.